that sometimes attracts quite unusual
Yes.
characters.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
we've tried to do in Big School. We've tried to put all these eccentric characters,
Yeah.
all the teachers that you might remember from your school days and my
Yeah.
school days, everyone's school days.
The heartbreaking life of David Walliams, a familiar face from Britain's Got Talent, reveals a much deeper story than what fans saw on TV. While his humor and playful banter with fellow judges like Simon Cowell and Amanda Holden brought smiles to millions, his personal battles were hidden from the public. As the pressures of fame mounted, David faced challenges that led to his sudden departure from the show. What was the breaking point that made him step away from it all? We are going to dive into the emotional struggles that reshaped his life in ways no one could have ever predicted. From audience favorite to troubling headlines. David's time on Britain's Got Talent was notable for over 10 years, starting in 2012. He was loved for his quick wit and his ability to lighten up the show's mood. His interactions with Simon Cowell were particularly enjoyed by the audience, as they often involved playful teasing. David's positive attitude and humor brought a lot of fun to the show, making the episodes more enjoyable. Before we dive deeper, it's important to know that the truth behind David's departure is far more heartbreaking than anyone expected. And this isn't the only revelation that will leave you stunned. During his time on the show, David had many memorable moments. One such moment involved a young contestant named Malachi P. The boy was very nervous on stage and started to cry. David didn't hesitate. He went up to the stage, comforted Malachi, and encouraged him to keep going. This act showed David's compassionate side and his willingness to help others, even during a live show. Despite these good moments, David's career took a turn for the worse. Reports surfaced in November 2022 that he had made inappropriate comments about contestants behind the scenes. These comments were revealed by The Guardian, which claimed that David had used offensive language and made unsuitable remarks during the show's auditions in January 2020. The issues began at an audition at the London Palladium, where David was recorded saying things that weren't meant for the public. His remarks included derogatory and sexually explicit comments about some contestants. Although these comments were meant to be private, they were picked up by microphones used during filming. In one incident after a performance, David reportedly made a disrespectful joke about an older contestant who had not performed well. Even though the contestant had left the stage, David's microphone was still on, and his comments were recorded. Such incidents showed a side of David that viewers were not aware of, leading to a lot of negative reactions. The release of these comments damaged David's public image significantly. People began to question his role on a family-friendly show like Britain's Got Talent. There was a lot of discussion about whether other judges knew of his behavior and why they remained silent. Another reported incident involved David making rude remarks about a female contestant after she had left the stage, suggesting she had shown a sexual interest in him. These comments were seen as highly inappropriate and disrespectful. Following these revelations, David and his team tried to mitigate the situation by saying the remarks were part of private conversations meant only for close friends. David even issued an apology to those he had offended during the breaks in filming for the 2020 season. He stated that these comments were never intended to be public. However, the apology did little to fix the damage. The production company handling Britain's Got Talent also responded, noting that while David's comments were private, they were still inappropriate. They reminded him of the need to maintain professionalism at all times, especially as a judge on such a widely viewed show. This situation highlighted the importance of professionalism in the entertainment industry. It also brought up questions about the boundaries of private and public conversations, especially when microphones are involved. The incident has made many people wary of what is said behind the scenes on television shows. Interestingly, no other judge on Britain's Got Talent was found to have made similar comments. Simon Cowell, known for his blunt feedback, was never linked to any inappropriate remarks similar to those made by David. This situation isolated David and showed that his actions were not representative of the other judges. David Walliams' case is a reminder of how quickly public figures can fall from grace. It shows that one's actions, especially when in a position of influence, are always under scrutiny. What seemed like harmless, private jokes at the time turned out to have serious consequences for David's career. It's a lesson for all in the spotlight that maintaining a respectful and professional demeanor is crucial, no matter the setting. David brought a lot of fun to the show, but as we look closer at his story, we find the painful results of his actions. Can David bounce back after his exit? As we look back on David Walliams' career, It's a mix of comedic genius and controversial downfall. His ability to make people laugh and bring joy to television screens is overshadowed by the scandal that led to his departure from one of the UK's most beloved shows. It raises questions about redemption and the possibility of a comeback. Can David Walliams regain the public's trust and return to television? Or has this scandal marked the end of his career in the spotlight? Only time will tell. Since no other judge made inappropriate remarks about the contestants, all eyes were on Walliams, whose comments stood out as clearly inappropriate in the leaked transcripts reviewed by The Guardian. Simon Cowell, who created Britain's Got Talent, BGT, and his company, Psycho Entertainment, immediately distanced themselves from Walliams's comments, stating they were unaware of them when they were made. This has caused a rift between Walliams and Cowell, especially after Walliams decided to take legal action against the show, feeling betrayed when his remarks were made public. Walliams sued the show, alleging that his explicit rant about contestants was leaked. The producers of Britain's Got Talent expressed a desire to settle the matter quietly, but they were also ready to defend themselves if needed. Walliams sought millions of pounds from Fremantle, the production company behind BGT, claiming up to £10 million in lost earnings and damages. His lawsuit argued that his microphone remained on throughout filming, capturing everything, even during breaks. He claimed that this led to thousands of hours of recordings that included private conversations being collected and transcribed. After the incident, Walliams reportedly faced intrusive thoughts when his offensive remarks about contestants were made public. Fremantle was disappointed in his decision to sue, given their long and successful partnership with him as a comedian and author. Despite the legal tension, they remained open to discussions, but prepared to protect their interests. Earlier in the year, reports surfaced that Walliams left Britain's Got Talent after his inappropriate comments during a show at the London Palladium in 2020 were exposed. However, sources indicated that he was pushed to leave, not that he left voluntarily, after Fremantle employed a crisis management team to deal with the fallout, prompting Walliams to apologize. The controversial remarks were picked up during auditions in January 2020. Walliams and his lawyers claimed these were private conversations never intended to be broadcast. However, just 2 weeks after the comments became public, Walliams was removed from his role. He is now seeking a significant payout from Fremantle for what he sees as a breach of data protection. The leaked transcript abruptly ended his 10-year stint as a judge, leading to his exit. Amidst all this, the friendship between Walliams and Cowell appears to have soured. While Walliams has not sued Cowell directly, there is now a noticeable coolness between the two. In a separate twist, comedian Claire Harrison McCartney claimed that Walliams's offensive remarks were directed at her, labeling him a sad misogynist, though show producers denied this. After much reflection, Walliams decided it was time to leave the show permanently. He acknowledged his misconduct and stepped down after issuing an apology for his comments. This led the channel to look for his replacement, which was announced as Strictly Come Dancing star Bruno Tonioli. Finding a replacement for Walliams was challenging because of his lively personality and entertaining nature. Tonioli, an Italian choreographer and dancer, joined the judging panel alongside Simon Cowell, Amanda Holden, and Alicia Dixon. This change came after Walliams had been part of the team since 2012, but faced scrutiny following the leaked transcript of his offensive remarks during auditions at the London Palladium. As auditions resumed at the London Palladium, Tonioli's arrival had been anticipated due to speculation about Walliams's departure. Hosts Ant McPartlin and Declan Donnelly were seen entering the theater with Cowell, signaling a new chapter for the show. Tonioli had been popular on Strictly Come Dancing since 2004, but was now navigating the dynamics of BGT. David's quick exit left an empty spot on the judging panel, but no one expected the changes that came when Bruno Tonioli joined. Bruno's first day brings laughter and mistakes. During one of the performances involving dangerous stunts, Tonioli's unease was apparent. The act involved pulling a truck across the stage using hooks attached to the performer's eye sockets. Tonioli hesitated to participate and, overwhelmed, accidentally cursed before telling Cowell, "Not again, Simon." This slip-up quickly caught the audience's attention and became a topic of conversation on social media. Tonioli also made other minor mistakes, like hitting the golden buzzer twice, which is against the rules. He admitted he was still learning the ropes, not having followed the show closely before joining as a judge. These challenges marked Tonioli's transition into the panel, highlighting the difficulties of filling Walliams's shoes, whose exit was not only the result of his own actions, but also a complex legal battle that had lasting effects on the show and its cast. Professional dancer Bruno made a funny mistake on the show Britain's Got Talent. He hit the golden buzzer, which sends acts straight to the finals, without realizing it could only be used once. The audience started cheering for a really good act, and that's when he figured it out. Bruno even admitted that he hadn't watched the show before because he didn't want to copy how previous judges acted. Luckily, everyone in the audience laughed it off and didn't make a big deal out of his blunder. As for David, he has been keeping a low profile since he left the show. He stayed out of the spotlight, which is a bit surprising since he used to be everywhere. Not long ago, David posted a picture online with his son, who was dressed up as a character from David's new children's book, Robo-Dog. It looks like David is trying to show a gentler side to the public, though some people think it's a bit late for that because of things he said in the past. David and Laura's love story started in 2009 after they met at a soccer game. Laura was really nervous on their first date, but they clicked because they both had a great sense of humor. Laura once shared in an interview with Dutch Vogue that she texted David after their date to thank him for the meal, and he jokingly replied, "Who's this?" They got engaged in January 2010 and had a big wedding in London at Claridge's Hotel. The wedding was fancy, and many famous people came, like Sir Elton John, Russell Brand, and Stephen Fry. They even had a second wedding ceremony 4 months later at the same place, which cost about £80,000. However, despite their public appearances, things were not going well behind the scenes. 5 years after getting married, in 2015, David and Laura decided to get a divorce. It was messy and public. David was very upset and said Laura's unreasonable behavior was the reason for their split. Initially, Laura agreed to take the blame during the divorce, but people close to them said it was actually her idea to end the marriage. The divorce was finalized really quickly, in just 6 weeks. In July 2021, Laura married David Grierson. She met him on the dating app Tinder in 2018. They got engaged in February 2020 after dating for 2 years. Laura showed off her engagement ring at a fancy dinner in Mayfair, and they got married soon after in a private ceremony. Since he and Laura split up in 2015, David has been linked with several women, including reality TV star Ashley James, actress Kate Beckinsale, and model Emily Agnes. Now that his ex-wife has remarried, David seems ready to find a long-term relationship himself. In 2022, it was reported that David joined the celebrity dating app Raya, hoping to find love. He even used photos of himself with his 2 dogs, Bert and Ernie, on his profile. With all the public problems and media talk, David's bond with his son stayed one of the few strong parts of his life. David's parenting life beyond the cameras. Despite his public life, David has always tried to keep his son Alfred out of the public eye. He and his ex-wife Laura agreed to give Alfred a normal life, away from the media. David became a dad for the first time in 2013, when Laura gave birth to Alfred. Since then, he has made sure to keep his son's life private, rarely sharing photos of him online and never showing his face. Recently, David opened up about his experience as a father and how he values his relationship with his son. He emphasized that he wants to provide a normal life for Alfred, even though his own life has been anything but ordinary. David understands the challenges of being in the public eye and wants to shield his son from that as much as possible. In a chat with Hello Magazine, David Walliams shared his thoughts about the challenges of being famous. He knows what it means to be in the spotlight and mentioned how tough it can be for kids who grow up famous. He wonders if it's fair to make kids famous when they might choose to live quietly later. David is concerned about young people in show business. He thinks about their well-being and privacy. Other famous parents like Zayn Malik and Gigi Hadid, Ryan Gosling and Eva Mendes also keep their kids away from too much public attention. Despite his own fame, David rarely talks about his son in public. But in a 2020 interview on This Morning, he opened up a bit about his close bond with his son, Alfred. He told Holly Willoughby, the show's host, that Alfred is a big part of why he's successful in writing children's books. They often sit down to think of fun ideas together. Alfred came up with a cool idea for a new book about a mega monster made up of scary creatures from around the world. David loved this idea and decided to use it for his next book. This story shows how David and Alfred work well together and enjoy creating stories. Their teamwork is inspiring. It shows that kids like Alfred should feel free to share their ideas and be part of creative projects. This helps them learn and grow. David and Alfred's story-making time has not only made them closer, but also helped David stay popular as a children's writer. even when he faces other challenges. David's life started in a simple part of London on August 20th, 1971. He was always good at making people laugh, which he got from his parents. His dad was an engineer, and his mom worked in a lab. Wanting to follow his passion, he studied drama at the University of Bristol. That's where he got to really work on his comedy, joining a group called Footlights, known for helping many comedians get started. With Footlights, David got better at making people laugh. His big chance came when he teamed up with another comedian, Matt Lucas. Together, they created Little Britain, a funny TV show that started in 2003. Before this, they worked on smaller projects where they would pretend to be famous musicians. But Little Britain made them stars. They played all sorts of funny characters, showing different parts of Britain in a humorous way. The show was a hit, winning lots of fans and awards, like the British Academy of Film and Television Arts Award for Best Comedy Series in 2004 and 2005. It was so popular that they even did a live tour and made an American version of the show. David Walliams went from a funny kid in London to a famous comedian and writer. He's especially loved for his children's books. His way of mixing humor with caring about kids' participation in stories has won him fans all over. His work with his son Alfred shows how important it is to listen to kids and include them in creative work. This not only makes the stories better, but also helps the kids learn and enjoy being part of something special. David's story is a good example of how being famous doesn't just mean being in the spotlight. It's also about using that position to do good things and make a positive impact. Was David Walliams' exit from Britain's Got Talent truly about personal struggles, or is there a hidden story the public doesn't know? Could something behind the scenes have pushed him away? Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.